All right. Good morning, everybody. I should ask this question a little bit later if we get some others, but did anybody attend the team function yesterday? Anybody here attend the team function? All right, maybe we'll ask that question a little bit later. I just wanted to hear a little bit more about your thoughts or your experiences. Actually, I know Ryan was there. Let's see what she has to say really fast. Okay, Ryan, I'm going to put you on the spot right away. Good morning.
Fantastic. What's up?
Tell us a little bit about your experience yesterday in the team activity, the team function. What was that like for you? Was that fun? Is there anything in particular you learned that you'd like to share with us?
Well, I thought it was interesting because, like I said, I hadn't really thought a whole lot about joining a team necessarily. So I kind of went in just trying to learn like what's the difference, and I did realize that they're all extremely different.
Yes.
And it's hard to tell in that short amount of time, and I didn't get to talk to everybody. We kind of ran out of time, or you just end up taking in the conversations that you really have to get a feel for a lot more. And there, and it's very different because some of those were in the office, and there was the one that's like that was like the
expansion team,
like Cody's expansion team.
Yeah,
and that's totally different. And just trying to understand how it all works is still like I still am totally confused.
Right. Well, I think the biggest takeaway from what you said is that, every team is different. They have different missions. They have different strategies. They generate leads differently. Their compensation models are probably pretty similar, but they might have some variation to it. And obviously the marketing and the size of the team and the resources and the personality of the owner and all that stuff is is case by case. And just like we've kind of used the phrase in the past, when you are interviewing for the right to be somebody's buyer's agent or somebody's listing agent, you hopefully are saying to yourself, is this somebody who I want to have a very close relationship with for the next 2, 3, 4, 6 months, right? This person, I'm probably gonna have to think about them and probably talk to them every day for the next 6 months. Is that gonna be a happy experience or is that gonna be a not happy experience, right? Same exact thing goes with teams, right? So if you are not feeling like you're clicking, it's not probably going to get any better, right? And that's okay, but just be aware of those kind of things. So if anyone has had any experiences yesterday that they would like to talk about in private, I'm more than happy to do so. I've been around a lot of teams, have a team, and I could probably give you some insight and do it in a very objective way. So thanks for taking time out of your day yesterday, Ryan and Lori, to do so. We're talking about the team function or team event yesterday. Okay, couple housekeeping things, and then I'm going to pass it right along to Candace. So first of all, I want to remind you that remember a couple weeks ago, I was asked to do host a class for the Georgia Legacy Group, Productivity Group. So Mignon does a couple one or two classes, and Robert does a class or two, and they asked me to do one. So I volunteered to do a systems class, and that is going to be today, Wednesday at 4 o'clock. And for the foreseeable future, it will be Wednesday at 4 o'clock. Although the 20th of October, we'll switch it up because of Gene Rivers. But 4 o'clock on Wednesdays in this room. And Roswell PC people are invited, as well as PC Corners and Alpharetta as well. So I've got a list of systems that I'd like to kind of dissect with you. But if there's a system in particular that you'd like to cover today, just send me a message and I'll be prepared for that. And if we don't cover it today, I'm more than happy to spend some time with you offline to get you started.
So those will be recorded, correct? Because I have a conflict every Wednesday at 4, I can't be there.
Those will be recorded. So if by chance let's say you want the financial system or something like that, right? How we keep track of what we spend and what we make, and how to prepare for the tax man and all that kind of stuff. Let's say that's the system you want to focus on, then just send me. Okay, perfect. So I'll claim that as my idea, if you will, for the room, and then you can go later on and watch the video. Cool.
Perfect. Thank you.
And then if you have any, obviously, if you have any follow-up questions later on, we can tend to those or tend to a specific individual something, concern or fact or whatever. Okay. Okay. I'm going to wrap up Candace's talk a little bit with a kind of a formatted, pretty broad plan at the end of today. But I'd like Candace to, I know she's, as always, has prepared really, really thoroughly for this morning. So let's give her the floor and tell us everything we need to know to be successful in real estate. And you have 25 minutes. Just
It's probably going to be more like 15. This is short and sweet because it just is what it is.
Okay, then I'll have a couple extra minutes to talk about the plan. I think is really important as well.
You will. So basically, I've been reading books on what to do your first, when you first get into real estate, how to get 3 clients in 30 days by Krista Mayshore. I've been online researching, and so this is a compilation. Some of it is what I know, and some of it is coming from those sources as well. So I'm going to share my screen, Bill, if you let me.
Oh yeah, hang on one second.
Because I know there are visual people in this group.
Okay, you have permission to share the screen.
Okay, good. Here we go. So this is if you're a brand new agent, and this is just really, this is broad strokes, and it doesn't take all day for these. So day 1 through 5 is going to be preparation. You've got your license. Now what do? Well, the very first day, you're going to write your letter to your sphere of influence, right? That might take a little time because you've got to research what that letter looks like. There's all kinds of examples online. And you want to get that sent out by email, by mail, whatever that takes, but spend the day doing that because you've got to let people know you're in real estate. That's the very first most important thing. Day 2 is organize your database. Look at emails, phones, social media. There's a memory jogger so you remember the guy that the waste disposal guys, the hairdresser, the doctor, the CPA, all those kinds of people. Use the memory jogger and fill in the gaps of information if you don't have their email or their phone number with True People Search or Real People Search. Then you want to watch videos on Command Basics, specifically adding contracts. And here's a pro tip. There's a Command import template that you can add all your contacts to. It's kind of like typing into an Excel spreadsheet. It's a lot faster than entering each one in Command individually. And then you can import them all at once. And then what I think is when you're getting contacts, like some of you have big goals for your contacts, like 50 a week, well, just enter them on that Command import template, and then once a week import them into Command, and that'll save you a lot of time. Day 3, you're going to complete your buyer presentation in Command. Like I said, not all of these things are going to take you all day, so you can fill in with other things that you need to do. Day 4 is complete your listing presentation in Command. Day 5 is you're going to review needed resources, your business cards, your sign, iBox, Supra, eKey, and you're going to plan dates to complete. And those dates should be very, very quickly completed. So don't throw those out for a month. Throw those out for like the next week. Then day 5 through 10, you're going to develop your assets with relevant information. You're going to attend FMLS training. You're going to learn how to search in FMLS. Practice completing CMAs, a quick CMA specifically. Bill, have you ever used a cloud CMA?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the product. Yeah.
But is that what you use typically, or what you use typically when you went on listing appointments?
You guys are probably going to think I'm a nut on this, but I don't think I did. I probably did less than 3 or 4 CMAs my entire career. I typically used a little bit of a different approach. What I wanted, I actually kind of touched on this with Fabiola privately yesterday, but I want you guys to make sure that when you're interviewing particularly with sellers, there's really 2 parts of the entire process. There is are you interested in working with me, and am I interested in working with you? Then as a totally separate entity is what's the value of your home, right? So the vast majority of the time, I don't know if I would say I underplayed it, but I didn't bring up I didn't talk about price that much. I was more interested in building the relationship with the person, because if they ultimately decided they wanted to work with me and I was comfortable working with them, it didn't matter what the price was. We were a team and we were going to figure it out together, right? What I was resistant to is I didn't want to be judged based on the price that I gave them, right? So if 3 agents come in and one agent says 350 and one agent says 375 and one agent says 385, if I'm the 350 and I'm right, which I usually was, then I don't want somebody else to get the listing because, bless you, because they gave a higher price. So my first intent was to build the relationship. So oftentimes what I did is I would send them some of the actives, right, what they would ultimately be competing against, some of the things that had gone under contract, and some of the things that had sold. I tried to get 3 to 5 of each of those, and then I would send it over to them and say, hey, here's the marketplace, and me and you together will decide, assuming that we're going to get into business together, we'll talk about strategy and pricing and adjustments and timeframes and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of downplayed the value a little bit until it was time to talk about the value once I knew I was going to be the partner. So with that said, I never really presented a CMA that much and said, I believe that your home is worth $324.17 based on the fact that it's this per square foot. That's too much. I took a little bit of a different approach. I know that's probably not what you're expecting me to say.
No, and I'm gonna say, regardless of what approach you take, you're still gonna have to know how to do CMAs. I have only ever used a quick CMA, and I have never. And this is what I would say is, it's great if you can give a range. I do not want to be the person that sets the price on their house, because like Bill said, it's a partnership. So I would say, here's the evidence based on the comps that we've pulled. In some cases, if they need to see, if they, in times past when we had a different market, we could take people on competitive preview tours where we could actually show them their competition, and we set that up. Agents were just so glad to have somebody coming in the house, because it wasn't like now where they're having showing after showing.
I definitely did that. So let's go into a tiny bit more detail on that. So that would be like, we're in courtship and I'm going to try to decide if I want to work with you as a seller and vice versa, right? And you say, well, I want 400 for the home. It's a little different environment than 10 years ago, but it would be the kind of thing where it's like, all right, get in the car, let's go. And we go to the 5 other houses in her neighborhood that are available, and the majority of them are more updated or larger, and they have lower prices, and they've been on the market for months, right? So I'd walk them into it and they'd say, well, this is really nice. I say, how do you think it compares to your property? And they would answer. I said, well, here's the thing. It's been on the market for 4 months, and their price has gone from 400 to 390 to 380 to 370. And this home is 200 square feet bigger than yours and is updated more than yours is, and you want 425. What do you think a buyer would say about all that? Right. So it's kind of like put the seller in the buyer's shoes, put the buyer in the seller's shoes. Let's get Greta's question.
So I'm listening to this, and I just to kind of bring it all to like gelled up. I get what you're saying, I get what she's saying. But when you did that, you had to either run a quick CMA or do something, did you not? And given that we can't take them, it would be unlikely that we would take them at this point to look at other properties. Wouldn't a cloud CMA with the photos be preferable? I mean, it would be the visual representation of taking them.
So Greta, go ahead.
I was going to say, I agree with that. The photos are super important. You want to make sure that they see the pictures and the property just like a potential purchaser would. I didn't want to give the impression that I'm just like, all right, you're my guy, here's your price. I mean, there is obviously some analysis that goes on. Yeah, so that would be my strategy.
I guess my question is, what did you use? Did you use a quick CMA? Did you use a cloud CMA? Did you just hand pick? I mean, what was your, because this is the part I struggle with as well, so how did you do it? I mean, the easiest thing seems like is to do a quick CMA, but I'm not sure that that's actually always the best.
May I answer that?
Yeah, please. Sorry, I didn't want to
So-
cut you off.
So Greta, what I do is I do a quick CMA, but I will go in and, can you see my FMLS screen, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll go in and I'll do the search. This is not representative of how I would do it because these are all actives, but I would pull in closed, I would pull in pending, I'm active under contract. And I would go to print. I would go to first quick CMA, right? So I get my CMA, and if anybody doesn't know what that looks like, it looks like this. This is only going to pull in actives because that's all I selected just for time. But it's going to tell me all the properties that I selected. It's going to tell me days on market. And if it's closed, it's going to tell me the sold date, the closing cost paid, the sold price, and the percentage of sales price to original list price. So for instance, if it was listed at 350 and down here in the section where it says closed, it was, you know what, let me go back and do that so you can actually get an idea of that for those of you who are new.
Greta,
I'll
in
just do
summary,
two.
I would say you're exactly on the right approach. You both of you guys. We start by kind of doing the general analysis like this and get a good idea for ourselves. If there's anything that's really unique about their property or unique about the sales data, then you can tweak it accordingly. And I would probably include this. I'd bring this to the presentation, but I would also want to kind of analyze listing by listing if we were as we're getting closer to setting the price. But for example, I had plenty of times where I would send the data to somebody and I'd say, hey, what do you think about the price? And I'll tell you what I think. And they would say, well, I think we should go at 200. And I'd say, I think we can go to 225. And we got 225.
Right.
And
Plenty
then
of times that happens.
and there's plenty of times where it's the opposite, right? They said, well, I'd like 225. And I said, well, I only think it's worth 200. And here's why.
And so if I send this over, something along this lines for them to look at, like in a pre-listing packet, you know, they've looked at it, but I haven't seen their home yet.
So Greta,
that's
I
exactly why I would do it the opposite way, which is I would send them the data, like the FMLS sheets, like send it to them like they're a buyer and say, this is the material that we'll be reviewing together when we meet. So take some time to look through the photos and the details and descriptions and all that stuff. And then I would bring this. I wouldn't send this ahead of time because if the number is too high or too low, they might cancel the appointment.
And they don't really know how to interpret this. So I agree with Bill. The CMA, I save the CMA and the listings for, I don't send the listings ahead of time. I take the listings with me, but I'll take this with me. And for those of you who are new, here down here, you can see that like this home sold for 103%, almost 100, well, 104% of the sales price or the list price. And it closed on 4/14/21. Here's one a little bit later that sold for 100%. No, I don't see, a seller paid $5,000 in closing costs. So anyway, this is something I would go over with them. But what I do, because I don't want to do the cloud CMA, is I'll go to print for the listings that I'm taking, and I'll do the buyer full right here. And then I'll do the photo gallery 12.
Okay.
And I'll show you what that looks like. And that gives you, so that you have the photos that you would normally have on a cloud CMA.
So it's like a cloud light almost.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
and then I'll just bind, I'll put the buyer full in front of this one.
Mhm.
And I'll put the next buyer full in front of this one. And then I spiral bound it and take it with me as kind of a little booklet. Because it looks professional, and I'll have the CMA as toward the back of that as well. But that way we can look at the
There's so
photo.
many approaches you could use. I mean, you could email this to yourself and open it on an iPad. Like if you were,
Yes,
I hate to generalize
absolutely.
things like this, but like if you're dealing with somebody that's let's say 40 or below, they're generally pretty tech savvy. And so they, you know, if you're flipping through the iPad, that might be, you know, a bit, you might be building rapport based on the way that you process information. If you're dealing with somebody who's, you know, selling their home to move to an old age home or something, you know, that person's probably going to need a little bit more, like, here's some paper, let's review the paper together. So you just got to kind of feel out your audience a little bit too.
Yeah, and go ahead, Greta.
Sorry, I'm not trying to belabor this. I'm trying to really wrap my head. I've been struggling with this for a long,
Everyone else in the room
long-
has the same questions.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
So I went to Dustin's listing presentation. He sends it bound with the pre-list packet.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
So
a different approach.
it's just a different approach. It's just whatever we feel like for that particular person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Or your
Or-
system and process.
Yeah, exactly. Like, or the way that you do it. And quite honestly, like I've tried a bunch of ways and figured out what I liked and what I didn't and how it was received and how, whether it was, successful or not. I'm sure Dustin's done the same thing. That's kind of where he is today. That's where I am. So
Yeah.
there's no right or wrong. It's, I think we have to do some trial and error. We have to kind of feel out our clients a bit. We have to make these decisions potentially on, like, for example, let's say it's a property on a decent amount of acreage and, it's had a couple of additions and they have a pool in the back and it's kind of more of a unique property rather
Yeah.
than like, hey, it's one of, 60 2-bed, 2-baths in the condo complex and they all look exactly the same. That's a little different, right? So you just gotta, it's kind of case by case to some degree.
Yeah. And I would say, there have been times when I've been, wanting to be real slick. And so I do the presentation on an iPad or I have a computer that you can fold both ways. But I always take the backup printed because that's something you can leave behind. And also if your internet's not working or your download, something goes with your computer, whatever it is, you forgot to charge it and your battery's dead, you don't have to scramble and be ineffective. So backups are really important.
Let me add just one last thing, which is it's obvious that there's a good bit of preparation involved, right? So if it's printing things out, if it's binding them, if it's emailing things to yourself and checking the tech beforehand to make sure you know how to make it flow properly. So when somebody says, I'd like to meet with you to discuss listing the home, don't feel that you have to like get out there in like an hour or something, right? They expect a busy professional to be busy, right? And so you give them a time, you offer them an appointment slot. Number one, the first thing that you should be thinking is, does this work for my lifestyle and my family this time? The second thing you should be thinking of is, does this give me enough time to prepare properly? And the third thing is it convenient for the seller? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think sometimes when we jump like little puppets because somebody's like, can you come over in 10 minutes? And we're like, oh yeah. Oh, I got a deal.
Oh yeah, hey daughter, I won't be able to make your dance recital today because this seller who isn't going to price their own properly wants me to hop too.
But
you guys don't have to behave that way.
Yeah, and you are their guide. They don't know what the process is. They don't know the preparation involved. So I would say, you know what, I want to be very, very prepared for this. Is an important decision for you. So let's set the appointment. Would Tuesday at 5 be better for you or Wednesday at 2? You give them the choice, but it's based on what's good for you.
And by the way, if they're interviewing other people and they don't respect their time or they are willing to go to the meeting unprepared and they show up immediately, then when you have said what you just said, they're like, oh, this person must not have spent any time preparing.
Yeah.
Right.
And the other kiss of death is, oh, I've got all the time in the world for you. You can call me anytime.
Right. Or, hey, I'm available Saturday.
Yeah,
well, what time on Saturday?
I say that to you guys because you're respectful and you don't call me at 10 at night, but I would not say that to a client ever. I would say, my work day is such and such, and please call me at such and such. I still have a client that I've worked with a ton of times, and he's a late night guy, so he'll text me at, 8 o'clock, but he doesn't expect me to respond. So
we'll do a CMA class next week. It sounds like there's some desire to go a little deeper there, which we're obviously more than happy to help with. So we'll put a CMA class on the schedule for next week morning huddle.
Love that. So day 8 would be study the market. This is something you want to get in the habit of daily, and I'll pull this over. And what I like to do is go to products, Remind in FMLS. I've shown this a bunch. Hello. It's working.
While you're pulling up, I'm going to ask, where do you get your stuff bound?
I go to Office Max or Office Depot. It's less than $5.
Okay.
And I have a clear cover on the front and a red cover on the back for Keller Williams. They don't have the real Keller Williams red. It's kind of a burgundy, but it's good enough. Or you could do black, whatever your logo colors are. But anyway, so I go to Remind, just click on Remind, and then down here is the Market Pulse. And I can pull up the zip code. Before I would go to, well, I'm not going to get into a listing appointment here, but This is what you want to start getting familiar with so that you have a general knowledge of the market in your area or the areas you're working in. I could do this is Alpharetta. So I can see
Is there a product in there to look at the zip code zones? Like Alpharetta has a gazillion, like a gazillion areas, and there's definitely that
It's up
kind
there
of.
on the left.
Where
yeah,
is
so
it?
I just changed the zip code here. Like
No, to visually see it.
Oh, you mean like a map?
Yeah, like a map. Don't they have
You
a
could just
map?
Google that.
Okay.
Yeah, oh, you mean to see where the cutoffs are and that kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would just Google zip code map for Alpharetta.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find one real fast while Candace is going.
So anyway, I would just I would be reviewing this daily so that I know the most important thing I'm looking for is Mr. and Mrs. Seller. We have 14 days of inventory. That means that if everything sells, we're out of inventory in 14 days. So what that means is that we're seeing some homes that are, if your home is in, typically in this area, the homes are going to sell pretty quickly unless they're just tear downs, and then investors will want them. So anyway, day 8 is study the market. This is going to become a daily habit. Day 9, you're going to create a marketing piece for door knocking, social media, or email. And you're going to use the same piece. You're going to repurpose it in different ways. Now, when you're creating content, you do not have to start from scratch. You could Google a neighborhood a snapshot. You could, and that's Remind. You can use the data from there. You can say, if I Google, let's see here. 5 mistakes sellers make. 5 mistakes sellers make in Georgia. 10 mistakes sellers make. Biggest mistakes some sellers make. There's so much content out there. Don't plagiarize, but you can use the ideas from it, repurpose it in your way. But the point is, you do not have to create from scratch. There's a ton of things out there, and you'll also get educated about things here and what other people are saying. So for instance, you could say how to understand home values, and then you could go into types of home valuations. What is appraised value or fair market value? What is an assessed value? You might talk about what a comparative market assessment does. And you're gonna create that. And then day 10, you're gonna create one more marketing piece and review and correct the things that you've already done. Then 11 to 15, this was something I saw in every single case study in the book of 3 Clients in 30 Days, is start conversations. On day 11, you're going to send one of the marketing pieces to your database by email. You're going to post the same content on social media. Day 13, you're going to make a video of you talking through the content you created and post it on YouTube and other social media. Remember to keep it under 3 minutes. Day 14, you're going to follow up on any exchanges that have occurred from you sending this out, or your sphere of influence letter. Anybody who's responded to it, you're going to follow up. Day 15, time to get out of the house. That gives you 2 weeks to kind of get like, okay, I got to do this. Get out of the house, go meet people. You're going to network, you're going to do hobbies, classes, exercise, walking clubs, neighborhood get-togethers, hang out and work at a coffee shop, talk to your neighbors, door knocking, open houses, whatever it is, you've got to get out of the house and go meet people. It's very difficult to build your database behind a desk. Anything, Bill?
I think that is perfect. We all want to wait until we're confident to go out there and speak to people. I get that, but it's not about you. It's about them. And there are people that are going to make poor real estate decisions every day because you weren't in relationship with them. So don't be afraid to start relationships, figure out what people's motivations are and what their needs are and what their situations are and all that. And then if you don't know the answers, which likely you won't, you just say, okay, well, I'll look that up. I'll research that and I'll send you and I'll evaluate it and I'll take some time to prepare and I'll come back to you with some recommendations and some information. So people don't expect you to know every single thing about every single thing.
Yeah, and the other thing I'd say is on day 15, when you get out of the house, you can always partner up. We've got a huge team in PC. So people, I see this all the time, people partnering up and shadowing or going door knocking together, because it's, you know, it boosts your confidence to have somebody there who's kind of in the same place. So you don't have to do this all by yourself. When I write this down, I get out of the house and go with another agent, make it fun. Okay, so days 16 through 20, for the next 5 days, you're going to work on contacting at least, you're going to continue getting out of the house, but you're going to contact at least 30% of your database using the DTD2. And if you don't know DTD2, that's a systemized way of using the first letter of the last name or the first letter of the first name, so that on specific weeks, you call everybody with the letter A and the letter W, and maybe text the people with the letter, I forgot what it was this week, T. But it makes sure that you talk to everybody in your database quarterly, and you're following up with them to make sure they received information that you sent to them. You're also asking how they are. You're trying to find out more about what's going on in their lives, so you can see if there's a way to plug them. And the purpose of this is to remind people in your database that you sell real estate. You're going to provide value in the form of useful real estate related information. Remember, you sent that out in the email, that piece of content that you created. Create a sense of showing up everywhere all the time, and also give people tools to refer us with. So for instance, they can say, hey, my friend sent this piece about what's happening with property values in our area. I thought you might like to see this. That's the way they can refer you as a knowledge expert. Again, this is what you created in this previous step. And days 31 through 20, 21 through 30, you're going to repeat days 31 through 20. I'm sorry, 11 through 20. So you're going to go right back here and you're going to repeat. Maybe you send the second marketing pieces, the second marketing piece that you created. You post it on social media. You make a video of you talking through it. You follow up on any exchanges. You get out of the house. And then you're going to, next 5 days, you're going to call more people in your database. Also, you're going to use a high touch, high value method of communication. You can use Messenger, Facebook Messenger, voicemail, calling, or WhatsApp. When somebody receives a personalized message from you, it makes a big impression, right? That's like, you know, hey, Jaleesa, I've been thinking about you. I sent you something I thought might be of value, just checking to see if you received it. And by the way, what's going on with you? That kind of thing. Gives you an opportunity to ask questions to see if you can help. It helps you stay top of mind for real estate, builds relationships, and differentiates you from other agents. Most don't call with care. Most don't send kind of, well, anyway, this will differentiate you because you're being very focused on your database. And then, oh, sorry, this is a repeat. Okay, and then, I'm sorry, that's a repeat too. I'll clean this up. Here's more tips. You're going to set your production goals and your plan. These are things that we're going to weave into that. Schedule time in your calendar to review your business plan regularly. Bill, how often would you say? Once a month, once a quarter?
Reviewing your business plan?
Mm-hmm.
Certainly as a new agent, I would be almost doing it every week, certainly every month.
Okay.
I'm going to kind of give you guys a little bit of a bit of a business plan here in a second, but if it's not like, if you're not getting the results you need, you should be evaluating this once an hour, right? Let's not waste time. Let's get going.
Yep. Okay, and then update your LinkedIn account, connect with your clients and contacts on LinkedIn. Remember, you can endorse people on LinkedIn. That's a way to reach out and say, hey, you know, I really enjoyed working with you. I just wanted you to know, they'll see when you endorse them, but endorse them for one of the skills that helps them in their business. And there's a good chance they'll check out your profile. You want to make sure we don't give them a reason to question our confidence or reputation. Friends, contacts, and clients on social media. Connect to your contacts and clients on Facebook, LinkedIn, and other social media that you use frequently. Remember, what you see in your feed is not necessarily what your friends are posting, so it's important to go to their pages and see what's going on in their lives. Develop your active listening skills. You can read that. Google yourself. See what it says about you. Boost your online reputation. People will either have confidence and trust when they see you, or they're, you know, maybe you're kind of still invisible, but you can send requests for online reviews on your Google or Yelp accounts. Really easy to set up those accounts. Just search, how do I set up a Google business page? How do I set up a Yelp account? And it'll be like step 1, do this, step 2, do this, step 3, do this. Really, really easy. There's also a way that you can send out a link for your Google reviews that just gives them a little box, and it's got the stars they can fill in and then write your review, and then it posts immediately to your Google page. Schedule 5 meetings with other professionals. Identify people with whom you'd like to build a professional relationship with. Think about the niche that you've thought about working in, whether it's probate or maybe it's first-time home buyers. Maybe you want to connect with a lender and do a first-time home buyer seminar. Find one meetup or networking event that you feel like you're aligned with, and keep in touch consistently. Once they're in their database, remember, ask yourself, what's it like to be in my tribe? Do I neglect people, or are they constantly cared for? Shadow show and open houses. So that's all I have for you. I hope that was helpful.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for that. Very, very much. All right, I'm gonna show you a what I would consider to be a little bit more of a mine is a little bit more broad, certainly. Candace is a lot more action oriented, but I want to make sure this is almost reads like a almost like a project list, to make sure that all of these things are in place as soon as you possibly can get them in place. And then the tactical stuff, much of what Candace just reviewed, is what supports all of this. Okay, so I just deleted and I added one thing and put it back in the announcements page. So Candace, I'm sure you'll share what you were showing this morning on the chat, and I just showed what I'm going to explain here right now. So I would consider this to be your, let's just call it your fourth quarter GPS, okay? No matter whether you've been in the business a week or whether you've been in the business 10 years, I think this is a good review to make sure that you are focused on the things that are most important. Okay, so at the top here, I put, I am committed to closing blank number of units in blank, like in 2021, in 2021 fourth quarter, in 2022, whatever it is. So that is, what am I going to do when that happens? So that I can get out of debt, so that I can pay for my kids' college, so that I can take cruise around the world, whatever you're trying to do, right? So the first thing, I separated into 3 different sections. The first one I called the pipeline creation and appointment holding. Like we've said in here many times, you are never, ever going to sit at a closing table unless you had an appointment with that person first. Okay, never going to happen. So the key to everything is getting in front of prospective buyers and sellers and presenting to them, right? And doing a needs analysis to see how you can help. So we have said, or I said, I will create a visual pipeline by the date, right? Which is 3 times the number of units that I intend to sell within this time period. Like, so let's say you do the fourth quarter GPS and this is a plan for the quarter. And let's say you're going to close 3 sales. Then you should have 9 people in your pipeline as quickly as possible. 9 people that you expect to transact in the next 3 months. Okay, based on the time frame. Okay, so when is that going to happen by? And by the way, how many do I have in my pipeline now, and how many do I need to have in my pipeline? So I know the number of appointments I need to hold monthly, and it is what, right? How are you going to be able to know if you're winning or not winning if you don't know what you're aiming for, right? So how many appointments do we need each month with other viable buyers and sellers in order to have the life that we desire to have, right? This is the beginnings of the formalized GPS, which is my top 3 lead generation strategies are, right? Lead generation 1, 2, and 3. What is the success metric? So for example, I'm going to call for sale by owners. How do I know that that strategy is working? Like, am I looking for 2 appointments a week? Am I looking for 10 people a week to my database? Like, what is the success metric that we're aiming for? Okay, so we do that for all 3. And then finally, the calendar system, my calendar system will be in place by, right? We know that time is the most important thing we have. And we have to be super strategic on how we spend our time. Okay, and so you should have a system in place for how you handle your not real estate commitments, how you handle your planning, how you handle your vacation time, how you handle your day-to-day affairs, right? Let's say you've got to pick up your kid at 2:30 at the school bus. Okay, so 2:30 to let's say 3:30, you're unavailable. Okay, nothing wrong with that. You just want to have an awareness about it so you can plan accordingly. So I did this exercise with Michelle yesterday, and she has a pretty big goal before the end of the year for closings. And I said, okay, well, roughly speaking, you've got about 55 days left, working days between now and the end of the year. And we haven't even talked about what vacations you might be taking, or whether you're going to work Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, day after Christmas, Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving Day, Thanksgiving, day after Thanksgiving, all the New Year's and all these kind of things. Like, you're not going to be working all those days you think you are, right? Shopping for everything. So let's figure out how many days you got, and then let's plan accordingly, so that when you're working, you're all in working, and when you're not working, you're all out. Does that sound like a lifestyle you guys kind of like? Does that resonate with you? Okay, good. Okay, so the next kind of main section of your business should look like this. It should be around skill and presentation development. Okay, number one, my listing presentation will either be created or updated by, right? My buyer presentation will either be created or updated by. My pre-list package will be created or updated by. You guys, if you don't have those things in place, you got to be asking yourself, well, how am I even prepared for a meeting, right? This is very, very critical. This is like day one type stuff that we need to make sure we have in place, so when we come across an opportunity, we are ready. Okay. My digital marketing strategy will be in place by. Have you thought about how your brand, your business will be viewed online? And how are you planning to communicate that with the world? And what will people see and feel when they encounter your messages? Okay, so I'd give that some serious thought, right? This is a real business. Business happens online now for the most part, and you want to make sure that you have the right presence online, and everything looks, tight and professional. My role play partner is, and we meet every, right? My role play partner is Candace, and we meet every Thursday at 9:15, right? Do you think that the top producers in this office have a role play partner?
Yep.
They do. Okay. I will script practice every day at, right? That's preparation for the role play, right? When does that happen? And I will master the following new skill by. So maybe you want to master smart plans. Maybe you want to master Facebook ads. Maybe you want to master, the divorce market or something, right? What are you trying to figure out this month? What are you really getting intelligent about, right? Okay, so the next section is database growth and tech integration. Okay, so I will add blank number of people to my database every week. It's just right there. When I'm sitting down with a lot of people at orientations, my recommendation is 15 a week. Okay, that means that your day, the goal of your day is to find 3 people you didn't know at the beginning of the day, and have a good enough experience with them that they want to communicate with you in the future, and you want to communicate with them in the future, right? And you've kind of discussed what, kind of what's going on in their life that might cause them to need your assistance, right? And then you're delivering whatever they need in a timely fashion and executing on all the promises you've made. Okay, so if we're not committing to growing our database every day, it's going to be a tough road. Okay, I will speak to everyone in my database by December 31st. Do you think that's possible? I definitely think that's possible. Are you committed to doing that? Okay. My complete database will be in command by. Enough with the delays. I'm not speaking to anyone in particular, but and I'm included in this. Let's just get it where it needs to be. Okay. No more staring at that stack of people that you've been thinking about for weeks and months or years getting in your database. Let's just do it. We know the database is what drives the business. Let's just get it organized. Okay. You don't have to do this necessarily, but I probably will. I will write blank number of handwritten notes for the holidays. Right. One of the things I used to do, everyone's getting Christmas cards and stuff, or New Year's cards. One of the things I did is I did Thanksgiving cards instead, so that they heard from me before they heard from any of the other realtors they might be flirting with. Right. And I, use that as an opportunity to express my gratitude for for the relationship I had with them. Okay. I will have a daily social media schedule in place by, and all my social media profiles will be updated by. Remember, everyone's online. So if they log online and they see a picture of you from 25 years ago, that's just not the way it should be, right? And in my opinion, you should have a schedule. What I mean by social media schedule, by the way, is like, what can people expect to see from your brand online? So like maybe every Monday you do something, every Tuesday you do something, every Wednesday you do something, right? And it's the same kind of thing. Maybe it could be like, hey, caption this photo on Monday. Hey, Tuesday is positive real estate news. Maybe you take the data that we give you in team meeting and share that. Wednesday could be, hey, I'm out looking at properties today and I wanted to show you this great house in Dunwoody. You know, it's close to this school and close to this gym and whatever, right? Thursday might be, hey, I'm at the open house of I'm at the property of the home I'm going to be holding open on Sunday. Just wanted to give you a quick preview. Oh my gosh, wait till you see the kitchen, right? Friday might be like an inspirational quote or something. Saturday might be a, local events going on in the community. Hey, there's a beer festival here. Hey, there's a, this restaurant is having a, some kind of event, or hey, there's a jazz festival, or like tell people what's happening in the community, perhaps. I'm just throwing some random ideas out there, but what I mean is to be consistent, right? Like we used to have an agent that would do like a funny real estate picture every Wednesday, I think. And like, if she didn't post it on Wednesday, her people were like, where's the picture? Like, this is what we expect from you. This has become your standard, right? And it solidifies that relationship. So what can you become known for, so to speak, right? I'm not sure why I find myself really, I find this really appealing, but one of our agents, Myra, every time she goes to a closing, every time she has a closing, she wears the same like really cool looking red shoes, right? And so people have begun to associate red shoes with success and red shoes with Myra's success, right? And I just like, I think that's just such a cool idea. And I'm not saying you should go out and get red shoes. I'm just saying, like, there's probably some things you're gonna have to create over time that you become known for, and that becomes something that the community looks forward to and appreciates. Make sense? Okay. So last year I presented this proposal to everyone, and we had an agent that kind of pulled me aside and says, hey, I don't see anything personal on here. You're always talking about personal stuff. There ain't nothing personal on here. I said, good point. So I added a fourth section, which is success outside of the business. Okay. The first thing I put on here is the person who handles my business when I'm away is. Okay. Get yourself a buddy in the office. Okay. That you trust, that you're willing to, give them your command password or whatever, who can, handle getting an amendment ready and signed off. Like, when you're out of town or you're not working, like, prepare so that somebody else can deal with those things and you're off doing what you want to do, focused on that, right? And then perhaps you return the favor, right? So Pam and I did this for years, and we never exchanged money a single time, right? When she needed some help, when she was going away, I watched her stuff. When I was going away, she watched my stuff, right? And she knew how I liked to work. I knew how she liked to work. And right before the vacation, you'd say, okay, the Jones file, this might happen. The Stevens file, this might happen. Hey, this listing's coming up. They might call, and here's what you tell them, right? It was just a quick little session where we updated each other on what was going on with all of our stuff. And then I could actually go enjoy a vacation. You see what I'm saying? Get yourself a buddy at the office. Okay, and then let's think a little bit about the other stuff outside of real estate that are relevant. So
Bill, can I say something about that?
Yeah, please.
And when you do have somebody who watches your business, or you're watching your business for someone else, make sure you do an introduction, a three-way introduction to the people that are going to be affected by it, your clients, so that they don't have some strange person calling them. And also, you want to choose somebody who has a commitment to your level of standards.
Great points. Thank you very much for adding those, Candace. Very good points. Okay, so here's some topics outside of real estate that I think are worth focusing on. One is my primary health goal is, my primary learning goal is, my primary family goal is, right? I will be sharing my goals with blank, right? Maybe it's your coach, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's your children, right? And then this is just a piece from the Gary Keller's The One Thing book, which basically says that we have 7 areas in our life that need to be attended to: spiritual, physical, personal, key relationships, jobs, business, and finances. And so what Gary recommends is having a mentor in each of those areas. Okay. It could be a friend, it could be, somebody that's, a little beyond your success level in a certain area, right? It could be a pastor. It even could be like a podcast, right? Like, Anthony Robbins can be your mentor for spiritual life if you want, but because he can teach you over the computer or over the, internet as well, right? So take a moment to look at those 7 items and say, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how am I doing in finances right now? Is it painful, or is it fantastic? What is it? Let's have an honest let's determine what is the rank, and are we interested in improving this, right? So maybe I'm a 10 in finances, but maybe if I became an 8 in finances, I'd have more time to handle my physical life, right? So if I'm a 2 in physical life and I want to be a 7, well, maybe I need to rearrange my time commitments somewhere so that I can attend to the things that are relevant to me, right? So I would encourage you to look through those 7 items and say to yourself, number 1, is this important to me? If it's not important to you, like let's say spiritual life, if that's not important to you, I'm not suggesting it should be. I'm just asking you to think about it, right? So say, hey, is this something I'd like to improve? And if so, who should I bring into my world to help me with that? Does that make sense? Okay, give me a little feedback from what I just presented. Is this kind of a good summary? Is this helpful? Are there any obvious omissions? Walk me through how you're feeling right now. I got time. I got all day. Oh, come on now. Ebony, what are you thinking? I'll start calling on y'all.
This forces you kind of put your life in perspective. And it's just like, you talk a lot about being intentional.
Mm-hmm.
This is making you measure up to the levels of what it is that you say that you want to be. So you can say, I want to do this, but until you actually start putting 1 foot forward every day, it's just talk. So I like this. And I get it. Like, I feel like I fell off the wagon. Let me jump back on. So it's absolutely helping. So I'm taking overall everything that you're saying and that Candace is given. This is helping. And I think that the more that we hear it and become intentional is going to be how we show up every day as our best self.
Yeah, great point. And as you suggested, it's not just about bringing your best self to work. Like, you'll likely be a better spouse. You'll be a better parent. You'll be a better friend, right? You'll be a better community member. I mean, you guys, like, if you're not intentional about how you spend your day, somebody else will be intentional about how you spend your day, right? If you sit down at your workstation and say, I'm not really sure what I should be focused on today, in the first place you're going to go is email, and then you're going to find somebody who tells you what to do all day. Didn't you get into this business so you could make those decisions?
Right. I think just adding to that, Bill, it will hold me more accountable to see it like this in black and white.
Good. Beautiful. Thank you. Anyone else want to share?
I like the concept of like the idea of having a mentor for every category, essentially. I think that just adds in like multi-layer accountability. So that's the part that resonated with me the most.
Yeah, and I just thought of this as you were saying that is, I mean, let's say I went to somebody and said, hey, I've realized, first of all, I've witnessed you doing what you do for a while, right? And I'm very much impressed. And I was just hopeful that I could spend a little time with you and learn from you. And here's what I'm willing to offer to the relationship, right? If you were to spend time with these 7 people regularly, would it be reasonable to think that they probably would support your real estate business? Right? If you spent some extra time with your pastor, or you spent some extra time with your, fitness trainer or whatever, you spent some extra time with your financial planner, do you think they would know then that you were serious about your work, right? So don't you think they would help you? What if you got 2 referrals from all these people every single year? You'd never have to call anyone else ever again. You guys see that? Stacy, what are you thinking?
I'm trying to get to my unmute button. Sorry. I had changed screens because I have to leave in a minute. Let's see. Being new and trying to get everything in order, it's like a lot of information. So my brain is like every step, like especially what Candace was doing, every single step is something I'm still trying to figure out. So overall, just still kind of overwhelmed and trying to get everything put into place that you just have to do to get started, right? So the things you're talking about feel like things that are further along, right? Once you get established, I guess is kind of how I'm seeing it. Once your foundation is set, it feels like what Candace talked about was more foundational, and what you're talking about is more in your growth piece, but I could be wrong. That's just how I'm taking it.
I could argue the exact opposite, actually, which is like, this is kind of the theory and foundational stuff. And then once you kind of understand some of the metrics that are involved, once you kind of get a grip on how large your database is and how large it should be, once you have, updated all your social media profiles and make sure you've got a good grip of your time and when you're available and when you're not, that's potentially when you go get into the action mode. You see what I'm saying? So it could go either way, but I'm thinking this is kind of like the thing that you review every month, and Candace is the thing that you review every day.
Okay. That makes sense.
It's like, this is what Bill is doing. This is the process, because you can do the actions all you want, but if the process aren't there to back you, those actions aren't going to be what it is that you think you can be. And the best thing that you can do, and I know it's a lot because I've been you and I'm still you, show up. This stuff will start clicking and you will amaze yourself at what it is that you know, when all you have to do is show up and keep putting that first foot forward.
That's exactly right. Thank you for sharing that, Ebony. It's kind of like if you were to throw like let's say like a neighborhood party or something like that, and you were going to get a bunch of leads, right? And they're like, hey, I want to talk to you about buying. Hey, I want to talk to you about selling. And you're like, what's a buyer presentation? What's a listing presentation? I'm not prepared for that, right? So like in the background, you should be kind of spending some time on this. Make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Beautiful. All right, I shared that in the chat as well. Obviously, if you have any questions about that stuff, you can let either of us know. We'll be happy to give you some feedback or answer any questions that you might have privately. If you are in the process of creating your GPS, or you want a little bit more clarity about like how to put together, like how to get, like kind of how to understand what a success metric is, right? Or like what the tactical stuff should be for any of this stuff, of course, let us know. We got lots of resources for you. And I just want to applaud you because, talking about business plans sometimes is kind of boring. And I appreciate you spending some time with us this morning. And that just shows, quite frankly, that you are committed to your job. And now it is time. It's only 9:30. Let's go give it an honest day's work. Let's spend some time doing the 2 major things that we do, right? We learn and we talk to people. We learn and we talk to people, right? And if you do that every day, guys, I mean, we had somebody at the office, like, listen to some of these numbers. This is insane. We had somebody at the office that made $61,000 last month. Here's somebody at 22,000, 14,000, 50,000, 35,000, 41,000, 36,000, 32,000, 29,000. 29,000, 26,000, 27,000. I mean, you guys, some of these people are making that in a year if they're lucky. Do you guys understand how lucrative this could be? These
Yeah.
people are not that smart. I know them. Okay.
Yeah,
They just
that's
do
my
the
goal.
work. You see what I'm saying? I mean, my God, $74,000. Oh, here's one. $122,500. We have an agent that made $122,500 last month. Would that change your life? I mean, my goodness. Yes, yes, Lori. Oh, do you
You're on
want to say
mute.
something?
Oops. Sorry, that was just one agent or was that a team?
That is one agent.
Well,
By the way, I do want to congratulate you guys. We set a couple records in September. I'm almost done, I promise. We had 28 closings in the month of September. That tied our all-time record. We earned the most money we've ever earned in the group in a month. $286,041 is what our group earned this month. So that is amazing. Congratulations. And we almost hit $10 million, but we were at $9,739,586 in sales volume. Okay. So you guys, I'm really, really proud of you. I know that every one of you is capable of a little bit more, and I'm just excited to be along and watch it happen. So thank you. Thank you for the relationship that we have and that we're building. Thank you, Candace, for all that you do for us. And I'm just excited to continue to watch you guys grow. So appreciate your time.
Bye, everybody.
All right. See you soon.